Two, three. Okay, all right. So this is part two from the first part was defeat the enemy from within. This show is more about uh, transitioning or a new phase of thinking and improving and learning. Uh, I just wanted to say a few more things about my father, which is not just because he's my father, but it also relates to many people, worldwide. For example, like um, let's see. Well, for example, my father, he was an inventor. There was people that took his ideas and got credit for what he did, but he kept pushing forward. He moved away from inventing. He was still an engineer and he did a lot of things. But throughout his life, as we think about it, um, in the previous part where I talked about, the tragic circumstances of the family, but at the same time, people could be aware that, different families can have also fortunate aspects, which are important to be aware of as well. Because having, being aware of that, people, it's not just being like comparing one's own circumstances with someone else's or some other families that have it much, much, much worse, but it's also because these experiences sometimes somehow it's through hardship and tragedy. Well, not so much well, it's just circumstances that are not favorable can actually teach and help us become better. Because if someone doesn't really go through life unscathed, they they have the risk of lacking feelings and thoughts that would make them a better mind, a better individual. Because because it's just how it is. Like somehow, like someone might be in sports and experience like a life-threatening health situation, but if they didn't go through that, and if they had it easy, then they could become arrogant and not not so much of a person that has empathy and essential thoughts that would make them a better person. Because a lot of people can easily get corrupt mindsets just from not really learning humility and knowing their place in treating everyone as equal in respect, and acknowledging everyone should respect each other and stuff. So yeah, everyone has their problems, and yeah, it's tough, but at the same time, there's like a lot of distractions because people are a lot of people are desperate and trying to make the most of their life, but many just go to the extent of doing it at the expense of others, or sacrificing others for their temporary uh, ego stroking. But yeah, it's just something to think about. I I don't really plan out what to say and things like that, but some thoughts here might prove to be very valuable, and maybe somehow people can find that the way they're thinking may not be to their advantage in the long term, in the longer term. Because if you think about it, there's many people don't really look at the big picture of the world because it's too painful to see, because you would actually see what's really going on, and then you would then your little decorated uh veil, your decorated curtain of delusions and mortal goals feel like they don't really have much value. But in a sense, that can be okay, because at the end of things, what is there to do after death? Like some people believe in afterlife, some don't. But I'm telling you that it's just you. Everyone alive has an opportunity to really determine what's truly important to their existence, because yeah, there's some that are trying to use science to lengthen their lifespans and stuff like that, but that's very short-sighted. I mean, just eternity would just be disappointed in people that just try to take shortcuts and try to extend their mortal shell, their soul vessel, if you want to call it that. But it's just it's a lot of important things to think about, because whether people are religious or not, I think it's well, every decision is a gamble, because people are not sure what to believe, and some that assume things may not be totally accurate to what they believe in. So, and there's are those that are so afraid of being wrong that they convince themselves that they can't be wrong when they might be wrong, whether they believe in something or not. So yeah, there's a lot of assumptions going on and a lot of distractions that people should really, if people raise their standards, maybe they have a better understanding that it's not worth, wasting lives, ruining each other's lives just for a moment of delusional superiority, or a personal selfish glory. But yeah, it's just some people don't really think outside the box, or some don't care, and some are just desperate and just wouldn't place their trust in someone that might, that because what do we have? I mean, isn't it safer and more secure to be good and do good, and not try to be the opposite of good? Because some people, they're just lost, and they're just and many are only thinking about themselves. It's really tough, because there are a lot of ingrates and just people that are just so bad that they really can be a tragedy in itself, just being locked up in their own hatred and discrimination, and but it is understandable. I mean, different minds really can't really respect each other. That's why people try to make their own space and just distance themselves from others, because not everyone's gonna agree, and not everyone's gonna really tolerate any kind of person. So it's really sad, but I think if people could somehow try to find to be like grateful, like for example, if they had some hard times and people that they just couldn't get along with, especially family members and stuff, they could still look at the good things and not waste their life aiming for small things, or because no matter how high the tower is in this world, it's just a tower. It's not salvation, or it's not gonna make your life last. Like, death is a phase, so it's something many people have trouble coming to terms with what it means and what they want. Some are satisfied with just the life they have here, but there are those that really value their existence and want to continue existing, in the afterlife and stuff like that. There's signs of ghosts and spirits, and there's a lot of things we're not fully aware of. Because for example, our brain in itself could be designed. Since the beginning, the species could be designed to only sense what the body is allowed to sense, and see and hear only what the brain is allowed to hear. There could be some things that are filtered out that could probably be slightly sensed. That's why there's some things that people are not really sure of, but they're aware of probably, but it's not as easy as seeing like a materialist, like a material object or something they can really sense. But there's things beyond what we're aware of. So I think people should really like, it's not so simple as raising one's standards of existence and future, but also not to like cling too strongly to this life in the sense that oh yeah, yeah, that there's greater things out there. There's greater ways of thinking. There's like people don't realize that words like fun and happiness and and glory and stuff. That like like many people don't have really high standards with like existence and stuff because like they might say they're happy, but really are they really happy? Can they really be happy with, for example, a body that has flaws and it gets worse over time, and people can't really change. Not everyone has the body that they want, and not everyone has the sort of existence or world they want to be in. Because if you notice that humanity creates a lot of, for example, fictional stories like in books, movies, games, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of people hurting and desperate for some sort of distraction, some sort of psychological escape from what is perceived as reality. So and yeah, it is important to be true to oneself and stuff like that. But at the same time, at the end of things, those fictional fabrications and stuff are just smokes and mirrors. It's not going to make people happy eternally. So I think people could find opportunities to sort of really really determine what is true happiness to them in like the eternal sense, if they want to exist eternally and stuff like that. Because yeah, there's like conflicts of interest and like there's also religions and stuff. But I think if people really value their existence, they would not only think about saving themselves but also saving others, and in a sense that they could sort of help people try to have a more positive mindset that is not destructive nor selfish nor putting people against each other. If people want to go one way, then it can be self-destructive or even more problematic to try to force them to see things your way. So there are those that understand and those that don't. But yeah, I mean, there's so much focus on life in this world, but it's at the same time, it's like people are just distracting themselves from despair by any means necessary. But I don't think that's the path to. I mean, I know that's not the path to being happy and being complete, because I think this world could probably be seen as maybe a training ground, like maybe a testing ground of who maybe deserves to be saved and who doesn't, or it could be a phase where like people have the opportunity to really learn and measure what has value and what doesn't, what has true value and what doesn't, because yeah, life and death have a lot of mysteries, and it's because of that people are going in different directions to their solutions to what life means to them and what their existence means to them. Because if people don't really value their existence and the existence of others, and uh, don't try to be and don't try to be a better good person, then they could put their own well-being into jeopardy. Because I mean, there's just so much to talk about. But but back to, for example, my father who passed away. Uh, I recall that in my previous part video, the defeat the enemy, the within, I thanked him, but I didn't mention about forgiving him, and I believe I started forgiving him either the same day he passed or the day after, and that's important to forgive because everyone is born innocent and pure, and a lot of people just some people get so corrupt or misguided, and a lot of people believe what they're doing is for the greater good, but at the same time, well, whatever the circumstances, it's important to forgive people because it's like someone said, they do not know what they do, and that is so true because there's so much ignorance in the world, so much misguided thoughts, and also bad influences that cause people to really think really evil thoughts and just cruelty here and there, and so much obsession with controlling and hurting others. It's really bad. So it's important to forgive. It's important to be thankful, and it's important to really but here I'll say right now again that I forgive you, Father, for the bad things you've done that I feel were not justified, and yeah, you were really hurting, but yeah, I forgive you, and I thank you for protecting the family and doing what you could. You sacrificed so much, and you could like mother, both of you had opportunities to go back to your own countries, but you stayed together, and you were here for the children. So 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 you really deserve uh you know to live on, and afterlife exist, be with your mother, talk about things, be good all around, and find true happiness in heaven, which I believe would have infinite worlds, probably infinite layers of dimensions, because as I've seen in this world, the more different minds and different people are, the harder it is for them to get along. I mean, it's just unmistakable. People can't. I mean, people would be lying to themselves if they think that they could tolerate anyone, because there's just different mindsets and preferences and honest beliefs that just aren't compatible with others. So I think there would have to be different worlds for different compatible mindsets, because I'm just not sure how that would work out. But there are solutions. I mean, there are ways for everyone to be happy without being in the same world and stuff like that. It's just something that's beyond us, that requires divine knowledge and understanding from those that already passed and already understand the bigger picture. And yeah, and also I wanted to clear some misunderstandings, like for example with what I said about in the previous part about in the video Defeat the Enemy from Within. What I said was that all politicians are liars and deceivers. That's not true. There's some that actually honestly have good intentions, but their hands are tied and there's only so much they could do, since they're also up against those that want to maintain the status quo and don't want people to right the wrongs. So yeah, it's a conflict. It's a conflict there going on. Good, bad, in between. So I'll just leave it at that. And also when I was talking about video games, when I was talking about the players, of course that was just all virtual. So don't get the wrong idea on that. That was just totally virtual, totally in the video game, whatever happened. So there was nothing. So it's all. I mean, that's in the past. It's just virtual. So, but I just wanted to clarify those things in case people got the wrong idea. But yeah. So there's about 9 minutes left. The previous part was about an hour, but this I'm gonna try to make sure this is a half hour. But yeah, there's a few minutes left. I just wanted to say these thoughts because I wanted to publicly, well, officially forgive my father and thank my father and thank those I'm not aware of that may have been supporting me in unforeseen ways. And I also forgive those that also harmed me in the past. Since in the history of my life here, I forgive them all, and I think many people, and I apologize also. I apologize to my father and everyone who I've hurt, and yeah, I forgive, I apologize, and I thank. So it's important to do those three things because forgiving, apologizing, and thanking, people can really improve themselves and reach a higher level of good thinking, good positive thinking, and get away from the hatred, violence, competition, greed, selfishness. People shouldn't glorify like things like life versus life or destruction, because those things are terrible. And especially money. Money is so has poisoned so many minds and causing people to think that's so important to really deceive and ruin lives and exploit lives just for sake of money and what it can buy in this world. Anything money can buy in this world, anything money can be used for, really has no true value. Really, I mean, just ask eternity. Money's not going to save you. Money's not going to make you truly happy. Because I think the word happy is really used too much in this world to define things or to define someone's mood. Because this world is not a happy world. You can't even if if your standards are so low. If your standards are so low that you believe or you're happy or believe you could be happy in this world, then that's just sad, because that's either a sign of desperation to try to be content, because the opposite would be despair. But it's actually better to feel despair and really understand the reality of things and not lower one's standards of existence than to be complacent and satisfied with the way things are in this world. Because even if someone believes they're happy, there are countless others that are not happy. And even if everyone except one was happy, for example, then that's still not a happy world. Because people could say it's a good day if they're having a good circumstances, so-called good circumstances, but they're really kidding themselves, I mean, the short-sightedness of humanity is one of the reasons why there's so much conflict and needless wastefulness and selfishness, that it's just, people alive still have time to think things over and try to improve themselves, because overall, whatever people try to strive for in this world, people have to consider what is more important to them, what has true value to them, because in my opinion, for many people, I would say eternal happiness in the world and body they would accept and would need for themselves in order to be happy in environment and circumstances in nature and capabilities to really establish true happiness for themselves and others. It's really something to think about. People still have opportunities to really really, really remove the evil and low standard side of themselves and really look beyond life itself, because death is a natural part of life, and so people have to determine how they want to exit, and if they believe their existence is worth saving. And yeah, because we don't have all the answers, and it's something that people have to really really think about, because there are a lot of people that really want to be saved. They really want to be eternal, but the answers are not going to be found through science or mortal human solutions. This is something that the divine understands so much more. So really, I mean, in the topics of religions, people have their own views of this and that, but looking beyond the ones that exploit religions to do bad things, look at the good side of of a religion that might hold keys to the answers of salvation. So really, be good to oneself and others, and truly be someone that would be worthy of positive respect, love, compassion, and worthiness to be saved. So yeah, it's something to really think about, because I mean, there are those that could be watching we're not aware of, and if you really, and your time here can determine whether or not, what value may have to those that are beyond our awareness. So it's just something that people have to really understand and figure out for themselves, and also, for others, because if people can be good to themselves and each other, and seek to better themselves in a good way without harming others and stuff like that, then people can reach a higher level of being, because even if you go to the afterlife, what kind of personality do you have? Are you really worthy to coexist with others that are genuinely good people? So it's something to think about. So all right, that's all I wanted to say in this video. So all right, take care. Try to find good answers, and don't submit to evil. Just try to be good, and good to everyone. All right, see ya.